There's a moment, right before you react, where everything in your life is about to split into two completely different directions. Most people never even notice it. It's small, quiet, almost invisible. But if you miss it, you end up saying things you regret, explaining yourself to people who were never trying to understand you, and reacting in ways that slowly drain your power without you realizing it. And here's the truth that might feel uncomfortable at first: the more you react, the less control you actually have. Pause for a second. Think about the last time something triggered you. Maybe someone ignored your message. Maybe someone made a sarcastic comment. Maybe someone questioned your worth, your work, your choices. You felt it instantly, right? That tightness in your chest, that urge to respond, to defend, to prove, to correct them. Now imagine this. Two versions of you exist in that exact moment. In one version, you react instantly. You reply fast. You explain yourself. You try to fix how they see you. And maybe, for a moment, it feels like control. But later, you replay it in your head. You wish you said less. Or nothing at all. In the other version, you don't react. Not because you're weak. Not because you don't care. But because you understand something deeper. You understand that not every moment deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves your response. And not every misunderstanding needs your explanation. That version of you is the one that changes everything. You've been taught your whole life that you should explain yourself. That clarity comes from saying more. That respect comes from defending your position. But in reality, constant explaining often signals something else. It signals that you're trying to control how others perceive you. And the more you chase that control, the more it slips away. Think about a simple situation. You send a message. They don't reply. Hours go by. Then a day. Your mind starts filling in the gaps. Maybe they're ignoring you. Maybe they're upset. Maybe you did something wrong. So you send another message. Then another. You explain your tone. You clarify what you meant. You try to smooth things out, even though nothing actually happened. Now look at it differently. Same situation. No reply. But this time, you do nothing. You let the silence exist. You don't rush to fill it. You don't chase it. You don't explain yourself to a situation that hasn't even been defined. Suddenly, your mind stays calm. Your energy stays intact. And interestingly, when they finally do reply, you're not emotionally entangled anymore. That's power. Or imagine someone throws a subtle insult your way. Not direct enough to confront easily, but sharp enough to feel. Most people react immediately. They either defend themselves or throw something back. And now, the situation escalates. It becomes a back and forth. A small moment turns into unnecessary tension. But there's another way. You hear it, you register it, and you let it pass. No reaction. No explanation. No performance. Just silence. And something unexpected happens. The other person feels it. Not your anger, but your absence of engagement. And that absence speaks louder than any comeback ever could. Because reactions feed situations. Silence starves them. This doesn't mean you become passive. It doesn't mean you allow disrespect. It means you become selective. You choose where your energy goes, instead of letting every external moment decide it for you. There's a difference between responding with intention and reacting out of impulse. One builds your life. The other slowly fragments it. Let's go deeper. Why do we feel the need to explain ourselves so much? It's not really about the situation. It's about validation. It's about wanting to be understood. To be seen correctly. To avoid being misjudged. But here's the shift that changes everything: not everyone is trying to understand you. Some people are committed to misunderstanding you. Not because of you, but because of their own lens, their own experiences, their own limitations. And when you keep explaining yourself to those people, you're playing a game that has no winning move. Imagine trying to convince someone who has already decided who you are. Every explanation you give gets filtered through their existing belief. You're not clarifying, you're exhausting yourself. Now imagine stepping out of that loop completely. You stop explaining. You stop correcting every small misunderstanding. You let people think what they want. And instead, you focus on your actions, your consistency, your direction. Over time, something interesting happens. The right people understand you without needing long explanations. And the wrong people, they fade into the background of your life. That's not distance. That's alignment. Here's another scene. You're in a conversation. Someone challenges your opinion. Not aggressively, but enough to create tension. Most people jump in quickly. They start defending their point. They bring more arguments. They try to win. But what if you didn't? What if you simply listened, acknowledged, and left it there? No need to win. No need to prove. No need to explain your entire thought process. At first, it feels unnatural. Almost like you're giving something up. But in reality, you're gaining something much bigger. You're gaining control over your emotional state. You're gaining clarity over what actually matters. Because not every disagreement needs resolution. Some just need space. And this applies everywhere. In relationships. In work. In daily interactions. You don't need to explain why you're focusing on yourself. You don't need to justify your boundaries. You don't need to defend your growth to people who are uncomfortable with it. Let them wonder. Let them question. Let them misinterpret. Your job isn't to manage perceptions. Your job is to live in alignment with who you're becoming. Now here's where the real transformation begins. When you stop reacting, your mind becomes quieter. When you stop explaining, your energy becomes more focused. And when you stop engaging with everything, your presence becomes stronger. People start noticing it. Not because you're louder, but because you're more grounded. There's a calmness to you. A certain stillness. You're not easily pulled into drama. You're not constantly trying to prove something. And that creates a different kind of respect. Not the loud, attention-seeking kind. But the quiet, undeniable kind. And the most powerful part. You start respecting yourself more. Because every time you choose not to react impulsively, you reinforce control. Every time you choose not to explain unnecessarily, you reinforce self-trust. You begin to realize, you don't need to be understood by everyone to feel secure. You don't need to respond to everything to feel in control. You just need to choose, wisely, where your energy goes. So the next time you feel that urge, that immediate pull to react, pause. Just for a moment. Notice it. Don't suppress it. Just don't act on it instantly. Ask yourself quietly, does this moment deserve my energy? Or am I about to give it away out of habit? That one question changes everything. Because most reactions are not decisions. They're patterns. And the moment you interrupt that pattern, you take your power back. And when it comes to explaining yourself, try this shift. Before you say more, ask yourself, am I explaining to create clarity, or am I explaining to seek validation? If it's clarity, keep it simple. If it's validation, let it go. You don't need to prove your worth through constant explanation. Your life, your actions, your consistency, will always speak louder. So slowly, you start living differently. You speak less, but mean more. You react less, but understand more. You explain less, but feel more certain. And in that space, something changes internally. You feel lighter. Clearer. More in control. Not because the world changed, but because your relationship with it did. And that's the real shift. Not reacting doesn't mean you don't feel. Not explaining doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've learned the difference between what deserves your attention and what doesn't. And once you learn that, everything changes. Not all at once. But quietly. Consistently. Powerfully. So the next time life gives you that moment, that small, almost invisible pause before a reaction, recognize it. Because that moment is where your power lives. And the more you choose it, the more your life starts aligning in ways you never had to force. Just ignore what doesn't deserve you. Just stay grounded in what does. And watch How everything begins to change. For voice delivery, keep your tone calm and controlled, almost like you're speaking directly into one person's thoughts. Add slight pauses after key lines like "that's power," "you take your power back," and "that moment is where your power lives," to let the message settle. Slow down slightly during reflective parts and tighten pacing during examples to maintain engagement. For visuals, use close-up shots of neutral expressions during pauses, dim natural lighting, slow-motion clips of everyday scenarios like checking a phone, walking away from a conversation, or sitting alone in silence. Use soft ambient music that builds subtly but never overpowers the voice. To keep future uploads unique on the same topic, you can shift scenarios toward workplace dynamics, romantic relationships, or social media behavior. You can also flip perspective once, showing what happens when someone else stops reacting to you, to create a fresh psychological angle while keeping the core message intact.